What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you guys doing tonight? Welcome to a new episode of Phenomenal Views. Of course, I am your host, Nick Smith, and this is a review for a book, as you can see in the title, Darth Bane, Path of Destruction. Now, I've been wanting to do this review for a very long time. I finally got it done, and I cannot wait to review this book and then start reading the other books so I can give you guys more reviews on the Star Wars Legend books. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, so Darth Bane. Before Darth Bane became the Darth Lord of the Sith who instigated the Rule of Two, he was known as Des. He was on a planet, he lived on a planet, of course, and he was a miner. Not the kind that you hear about on the news, but a coal miner, as we should say. Now, there's one thing about Darth Bane. Darth Bane is talked about in the book as being like this humongous, massive person who is somebody you really would not want to mess with. And he is having to serve out his father's debt, basically kind of serve his father's life sentence, but it's more like he has to pay off his father's debts, even though his father is already dead. Now, who does that sound like that I have read in comic books before? And let me see. Guy who, as soon as he was born, was made to serve his father's life sentence. Who the... Yeah! Really similar. This is honestly one of the things about the character that I kind of like, but at the same time I kind of do not like, because I kind of feel like it was kind of lazy on their part. I mean, Bane is a good character, but he just has a lot of the same characteristics as Bane himself. He is massively huge. He is basically having to basically clean up after his father, kind of like how Bane in Batman is having to take up his father's prison sentence for the rest of his life. Bane is made to pay off his father's life debts, which he will never be able to pay off. And it is not until we discover that Bane has a deep hatred, which is just also like the other Bane from Batman, who they both have a deep hatred, and they eventually decide to get rid of their old lives and basically make themselves better with not only physically but mentally. Now, the thing that I do like about Bane is how he eventually becomes like this awesome war general who eventually does become a member of the Sith at the Sith Academy on the planet of Korriban. Korriban was the planet of the Sith way before Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. They would train the Sith, and like in this book, like you actually get a little bit of You get a lot of what the Sith on the Academy were like, what their training was like, what their living styles was like, what competitions was going on between these two with any of the Sith apprentices, with either dueling or even killing each other. And the thing is, here on Korriban, there was so many Sith, but it is with this that Darth Bane kind of finds a flaw in this particular asset, because of where there's so many Sith. The person who is running the Sith Academy views that the Sith should be treated equally, and that is why they do not even go by the title of Darth anymore. And instead of Darth, they are called Lord. So when Darth Bane finally does get the title of Bane, instead of Darth Bane, he is known as Lord Bane. Bane does not like that, and Bane, just like Bane and Batman, does a lot of studying. He doesn't mostly do a lot of physical combat. He is a great fighter, and is portrayed as that in the book. He is a very competent fighter, and even in the book, he actually is afraid to give in to the dark side completely, but when he does, he is someone you do not want to cross paths with. He even eventually learns to master the technique of fighting with two lightsabers. He gets his curved lightsaber, which it is actually his former master's lightsaber. He gives it to him, and like he spends hours practicing. They talk about in this book how dedicated Bane is to wanting to become the best of the best, not only physically but mentally. Even going to the Sith library and looking at the remains or the studies of the older Sith. So like it would always talk about how he would always be in the Sith library and reading and trying to learn about the old ways of the old masters, and even him coming to the conclusion that the Sith there was too many Sith, they were too populated. And even in this war that is going on between the Sith and the Jedi, Bane comes up with the Rule of Two by going to an unknown planet that is actually called the Unknown Planet, where he discovers a Sith holocron. Now, the Sith holocron was what the Sith used to record their teachings, and it is on the unknown planet where Bane finds the holocron of Darth Revan, and this is what gives him the aspect for the rule of two. Darth Bane agrees with Revan and talking about like how there must only be two, one to contain the power and another to crave it, thus the Apprentice. And it is with this Bane feels that in order for the Sith to survive, they must be wiped out and be totally destroyed, and they must start from anew. And Bane is trying to mostly find himself an apprentice to carry on the rule of two, and thus ends up committing he takes a part in committing mass genocide, to which he is the only Sith left to survive, and he eventually finds his apprentice. The rule of two was, as I said, is what Bane came up with because of how the Sith were in this time. They were being taught that the Sith were all equal, and that is even why they got rid of the title of Darth, because the Sith apprentices would start killing each other, and there would eventually be mass extinction. So Bane knew that they were on their way to extinction, but no matter how many times Bane pled, something else must be done, we must learn something else, the people who were running it, they thought that he was a disgrace to the Sith. And when Bane went on Korriban to go in the old temples to basically go and try to talk to a Sith spirit. So if any of you have seen Star Wars The Clone Wars, in the very last episode, Yoda goes to the temple of Darth Bane, where his tomb is, and his spirit comes up and talks to him. And that was what he was kind of hoping for. And when I was reading the book, I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe he'll come across Malak, or Darth Malgus, or even Darth Vitiate, or his ghost, or anything of the matter like that. Anything like that. And he eventually ends up finding nothing, but he grows more and more wiser and eventually becomes the dark ruler of the Sith that we all know and love. Darth Bane is honestly one of my favorite Sith characters, and I strongly recommend that you read this book to understand why. Overall, I'm going to give Darth Bane A Path of Destruction an A, and the reason for that is it has good character development. It shows about how Bane becomes who he is, and why the rule of two was invented, and why it needed to be invented, and how Bane did it. And it shows us how cruel Darth Bane can be, how manipulating he can be, and even at times he's a Sith, he does kind of have a soft spot, and he eventually even does fall in love, but eventually ends up betraying everybody, like a normal Sith. But this book does have good character development, it has good atmosphere, it has great storytelling. The only reason this book does not get an A+ is because I do not like where him and Bane from Batman are too similar, and I really wish that they had done something different. But this book is a really good read if you're into Star Wars, and if you want to learn more about the non-Star Wars canon now, which I do, I strongly recommend you pick up this book. And even if and there is a rumor that Netflix is doing a Star Wars Legends show, which I honestly hope that they do. I would love to maybe have a season or a couple episodes dedicated to Darth Bane. Guys, put in the comments below, what is your favorite Star Wars Legends novel? I really want to know. Is it Revan, or is it about Darth Bane? What is your favorite Darth Bane book? What is your favorite thing about Darth Bane? What do you think about the fact that Bane and Bane are so similar? Let me know. And guys, thank you for watching this video, and I cannot wait to move into my new place and hopefully provide you guys with better videos. Hopefully my reviews will get better soon, because I want to keep making my videos better so you guys will keep coming back. You guys are what makes this channel grow, and I love doing this for all of you. Hope you have a good day, and the Force will be with you, always. Have a good night, guys.